Hi, welcome back to Mountain Boys. It is the evening of January 7th, 2021, and I just read a headline that I never thought I would ever see or read. This is on the Hill. Tucker Carlson. Trump recklessly encouraged Capitol rioters. Wow. It's a sad day for Donald Trump when Tucker Carlson of Fox turns on you like that. But he's probably just all about saving his own skin and the fallout that's going to come from all of this. And for that matter, so is Donald Trump. So is a lot of the GOP right now. Because they have a lot to answer for. Back on Veterans Day, about 2 months ago, I made a video. And I talked about a lot of the things that were concerning me right now. And one of the big ones was, kind of the GOP's march towards a fascist party. Well, I think that's happened. And I think the GOP got a little bit of a wake-up call yesterday regarding that. Not all of them are on board with it, and that's a good thing. But there sure are a heck of a lot of them that are, and that's concerning. Now, the events of yesterday. Kind of the little timeline that I put together. We went from a rally to a protest to a mob to a riot to acts of sedition. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, not one bit. The stars and bars, the Confederate battle flag was waving inside our United States Capitol building. That in itself sends a message, a bad one, a very bad message. One that I think should concern all of United States citizens, everyone in the United States, especially the silent majority, and even more importantly, those in the Republican Party who aren't complicit in this nonsense. Now, I kind of broke them into three groups. We had the instigators, the enablers, and the participants. I think it's fair to say that yesterday's events had one instigator, Donald Trump. Enablers. Well, Tucker Carlson, you're trying to do some CYA now, but I would say you've done a fine job enabling Trump over the past 4 years. Same goes for Sean Hannity. I would say just about everyone over at Fox except for Chris Wallace. Right-wing talk shows, right-wing radio shows, right-wing news outlets. Yeah. People say it's not the party of Trump. Well, yesterday it sure looked like it. GOP are so afraid of their base and afraid of Donald Trump that they've just become complicit in his recklessness, in his antics, and his idiocy. You reap what you sow. I think there are going to be a lot fewer registered Republicans and more independents next time around. And I hope so, too. I hope so. Republican Party's been, I would say, fractured for a while. And it's been taken over by the Tea Party. There's no illusions about that anymore. It is no longer the Republican Party. It is the Tea Party, and it is the party of Donald Trump. And if you're a Republican and you don't agree with that, well, I would say you're part of the Tea Party. I have a few heroes. I would say my top two heroes are Theodore Roosevelt and John Glenn. I had the privilege of meeting Senator Glenn twice before he passed away. But John Glenn, he was a Democrat from Ohio. Theodore Roosevelt, a Republican from New York. I don't even know where I was going with that, except to say that Theodore Roosevelt espoused everything that I thought was good about the Republican Party. There have been a lot of Republican leaders in our history that I admire. There are. And I'll come out and say it. I was what I termed a Western Democrat for a lot of years. From when I turned 18, probably until I turned about 30. And then the Democratic Party in Colorado abandoned a lot of us, especially those of us in Western Colorado. And after that, I became a registered libertarian. Because the Libertarian Party and ideal, at least my idea of libertarianism, it's what mostly conforms with my political beliefs. If you ever get a chance to listen to Penn Jillette, he's got a lot of good things to say. In the last presidential election, prior to this one, 2016, Gary Johnson had a lot of good things to say too, but the media wouldn't give him any airtime. That is what it is. It's one thing to be an outsider or running as an outsider for public office. It's quite another to be a third-party candidate. And that's a big problem, as I see it, is what we have going on in the country today. We have a two-party system where if you don't fall into either of those two camps, where do you sit? Where do you vote? What do you believe in? I do believe, and I have to, I can't be a total pragmatist about this, I have to be an optimist, that the political divide in this country isn't entirely defined by the extreme ends. I hope not. Very, very rarely will I ever vote along a party line. No. I vote for the individual. I vote for the individual's record. That's how I do it. I think a lot of people in the United States woke up to that this year too, or this past year. I think there were a lot of split tickets cast in our last presidential election, which I view as a good thing. I really do. I think that's why we, saw Biden pick off states for the Electoral College, and also we saw the Republican Party pick up House seats across the country. That's an encouraging thing to me, that people across the country were willing to split their tickets and not just blindly vote along a party line. That's encouraging to me. So even with all of the antics and chaos of yesterday, which were really sad and really disheartening to me personally, I do have hope. I have hope because it seems to me the people of the United States, by and large, have rejected Donald Trump, as much as he likes to think otherwise. Don't let that fool you. He may have, quote unquote, conceded today. But no. No. If it wasn't the looming threat of Vice President Pence and his cabinet invoking the 25th Amendment, I believe, and also the threat of another impeachment, I don't think he would have made another statement today. No. No. And it's very unfortunate that we had to have what we had yesterday before Trump would come out and commit to a peaceful transition of power. That's unacceptable. That is plain and simple unacceptable. 4 people died yesterday on the United States Capitol grounds. Details of their deaths are sketchy at this point. As far as I know, only one of the people who died has even been identified. I won't speculate about it. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. I haven't even really seen or read any first-hand reports that would, lead me to have an opinion one way or the other. But this I can say. This may seem a little cold-hearted, but if she wasn't there and she wasn't doing what she was doing, she'd still be alive today. Probably. So I think that's another death that we can lay at the feet of Donald Trump. I served. I served in the military. I signed the dotted line. That was part of the deal for me when I was in. And that's part of the deal for all of our service members in the 6 branches now. 6. Wow. Space Force. Anyway. I digress. But yeah, that's another death we can lay at the feet of Donald Trump. More blood on his hands. And the fact that even in his statement today, he took no responsibility for yesterday's chaos. President-elect Biden really said it right, that at best, the president's words can inspire, and at worst, they can incite. Well, we saw the worst of that yesterday. And I think we saw the worst of the United States, too. I really do. I think these people have bought the Trump propaganda line hook, line, and sinker. And it's really sad and unfortunate that 4 of them lost their lives for it. 4 people died yesterday. And until I learn and read or hear something differently, right now, 4 people died to serve the vanity and ego of Donald Trump. That's unacceptable. Do you know what else is unacceptable? The antics in the House and the Senate objecting to the electoral votes. All that is perpetuating and further enabling Donald Trump in his quest for power. What's more concerning? A president who believes all the things that Donald Trump is saying actually occurred and that we know didn't. I mean, I think our court systems have sorted that out well enough for us already. But what's more concerning? A president who says all that stuff to try to preserve his own power? Or a president who believes it? Either way, it's scary. Either way. At this point, it doesn't even really matter, because words have turned into actions, and those actions have led to the deaths of my fellow Americans. Unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. Words spread by congressional members and senators in the Republican Party are also to blame, because they're either, one, too scared of Donald Trump and his base to stand up to him and say what they really believe, or two, they believe it themselves. Either way, it's bad. So, case in point, our newly elected representative from Montana, Matt Rosendale. Matt Rosendale, you objected to the counting of electoral votes yesterday and the day before now. Well, no, I guess that would still be yesterday or very early this morning, too. You were in that majority of Republican House members who voted to disenfranchise other American voters. When you did that, and you stood up for Donald Trump's pack of lies, his conspiracy theories, and his ego, I knew right then all I ever need to know about you. That either one, you don't have the backbone and political will to stand up for yourself, to know what's right, and to vote with a, properly trained conscience, or two, that you believe it and you've bought it hook, line, and sinker. Either way, that's a frightening prospect. This is one of your first votes as our representative to Washington from Montana. That's a scary thought. You're going to have to do a lot to earn back my trust, if you ever can. That's about all I'm going to say about Matt Rosendale and Montana politics. No, I'm going to go a step further, because Steve Daines, one of our senators, he retracted his objections yesterday. So I wish you'd have had the conscience and good sense to not have have done it in the first place, but at least the events of yesterday maybe opened your eyes to what's to what's become of your party. We'll see. We'll see. So, Senator Daines, thank you. I hope it wasn't too little too late. Matt Rosendale. Yeah. You voted that way yesterday, and you can be damn sure you'll never get my vote in the future. So, that's even coming from a pretty staunch Montana libertarian. You will never get my vote. You voted to take away the voting rights of my fellow American citizens. You tried to silence their voices. That is completely and utterly unacceptable. And now, I will make it one of my pastimes, I guess you could say. I'm going to take it up as a pastime to see that you're never reelected to an office in Montana again. Completely unacceptable. So, I think that's all I'm going to say about that tonight. Just that I'm saddened, I'm disappointed, and the United States of America deserves better. I'll talk to you again soon.